Hey guys, so today we are going to be discussing the newly released Legends Limited Fusion Zamasu, the newest Legends Limited character released into the game. He dropped on Tuesday earlier this week. It is now Thursday, so he's been out for 2-3 days now. And I've had a decent amount of experience using him, fighting against him, seeing what people are saying about him. And I just really don't think he's even close to being what he needed to be. And this video is mostly just going to be me discussing my thoughts about Zamasu. And I think the best way to do this, like I have posted here on the screen, is to see what people think about him, reach out to the community, see what you guys think about the character, and I'll give my thoughts and opinions on what you guys think, and see if it sort of coincides with my thoughts on him. Before we get into this though, this is now becoming sort of a trend we've seen recently, and I really shouldn't even need to say this, but I will anyway, because people, I guess, just don't understand how the world works. It's not even just specific to YouTube or Dragon Ball Legends, it's literally just how the world works. When I do videos like these, this is not like me making a royal decree into the Dragon Ball Legends kingdom that this is the way of the land or something. This is my opinion based on my experience with the character, but if you enjoy using the character and you found success using the character, then that's fine. Everyone's going to have a different experience in the game, and that's actually one of the reasons why I think top 10 lists are largely worthless, and I've been very vocal about this. They don't really contribute anything to the well-being of the game. They serve as like good background noise and as good conversation pieces, but they largely have no meaning. And I've been pretty vocal about this and outspoken about this, and I will continue to say this with no shame. But basically, the only reason I even make top 10 videos is because they perform well view-wise. Now, that doesn't mean I don't rank characters in a truthful way and explain their strengths and weaknesses as best as I can, and formulate the rankings in a way that I think they should actually be ranked. But when it comes to down to it, I don't actually think they really contribute anything at all, other than just being entertaining to a certain degree. But anyway, the reason why I wanted to do a video discussing this Fusion Zamasu in particular is because with how frequently we get underwhelming characters now, I think this really is something that does affect a lot of players, because it should change how players approach deciding whether or not to summon on banners. And for those of you especially who are concerned, I think first and foremost, with summoning for characters for the sake of just winning in PvP and performing well in PvP and being an effective character in PvP, I think it really matters, and I think it really makes sense not to get caught up in the hype of new releases now more than ever. And I would say also really just like wait a week after a unit drops. Don't immediately jump into the banner after a unit drops, unless it's obviously something. If you're not, again, what I always say is if you really like the character and you're going to have fun using the character, then that's obviously more important typically than how a character is going to perform in PvP. But if you're looking at summoning for a character specifically just to perform well in PvP, I would really, really recommend starting to just wait. Wait like a week after a unit drops. See how they perform in showcase videos. See how they perform when you fight against the character. And then, make a more well-informed decision after people have had a chance to digest how much the characters impacted the game, to see whether or not they're worth it or not. I don't know if this is going to be a change in the design philosophy that the development team has, where they're okay with releasing just, I don't want to call them incomplete characters, but it seems like they're okay with releasing almost intentionally underwhelming characters to, I guess, balance things out. I don't know. It's a bit of a change in design philosophy if that's the case. But if we go ahead and start talking about Fusion Zamasu, so the thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to start this video by listing out the things of this character, the traits and mechanics of this character that I think are the most detrimental to why I don't think he's very good. And after that, we'll go through what you guys have to say, and I'll provide some supplementary comments on those points. So I've sort of separated things into 3 tiers. I have tier 1, which are the biggest issues with the character. I have tier 2, which are pretty important issues, but not as important as tier 1. And then I have tier 3, which probably are just more nitpicks than anything else. So I'll go through the tier 1 biggest complaints that I have with the character, And I think these are actually things that I mentioned even in the breakdown video, saying these things could probably pop up as being some major issues with the character. And I think I probably was largely correct with these two things. So the first one, this one is probably going to take the cake as the most important thing. No attribute downgrade immunity or cancellation. Now, if we take a look at some of the recent releases, we jump over to the roster of characters here. We have a few units that are just straight up immune to attribute downgrades, namely Gotenks for the first 100 counts, and then we have transformed Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who's immune when he's in his transformed state. I don't think they should do this moving forward. I think having characters being just completely immune to attribute downgrades, it's a mistake, because that's essentially the entire way of being able to stop combos, disrupt characters, and it really, it's almost like, I don't even, it's almost like a cheap gimmick, right? You're almost like forcing the characters to just overcome every possible way other characters have to stop them. Just being immune to attribute downgrades, it's like Vegito Blue's thing, a mechanic, almost like the anti-everything mechanic that Vegito Blue has. They've created a scenario where the counter gauges are just such a problem in the game that they're like, oh, well, instead of coming up with a creative solution, let's just have them be immune to literally everything in the game. And that's what they've done with Gotenks and Super Saiyan 3 Transform Goku too. It's like, instead of coming up with a creative and interesting way for them to overcome some of the debuffs that exist in the game or the disrupt mechanics that exist in the game, let's just have them be immune to every single debuff. Like, that's probably not the best way to do things. But then we have characters like Tag, Future Gohan, and Trunks, who I think probably are a bit better designed in the sense that they don't have immunity to attribute downgrades, but they have ways to cancel their attribute downgrades, which I think is probably a better way to do this, because they are affected still by attribute downgrades, but then they have a way to get rid of them when they've fulfilled certain conditions. I think that is certainly what we should have seen with Fusion Zamasu. I don't think Fusion Zamasu should have had attribute downgrade immunity. That's why for this first point I put /cancellation. No attribute downgrade immunity /cancellation. I think what probably this character should have done is when he activates his unique gauge, whether it be offensively or defensively, he would just remove or cancel the current existing attribute downgrades applied to him. That just makes the most sense to me, right? Because it affects him both from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint. From the offensive end, I don't think this character really has issues with numbers. And I did mention this in one of my recent showcase videos. In terms of the numbers, the amount of damage he does, the degree at which he's able to tank hits, he's certainly not the bulkiest character that we've ever seen, but he should at least be relatively competent in taking damage. But the point is, from an offensive standpoint, he hits the opponent twice, and then he just like can't continue comboing because he has no card destruction immunity. He has no attribute downgrade immunity. He's susceptible to card destruction. He's susceptible to key reduction. He has all these debuffs that increase the cost of his cards. So what I typically find myself doing is I will attack the opponent like once or twice with Zamasu, and then the combo will just be over because I can't continue attacking. I either have no cards, or I either have no key, or the cost of my cards are just too high. So just the inability to actually combo with the character is a big issue, and that has a lot to do with the attribute downgrades that are applied to him when he's comboing. And then from a defensive end, this character should in theory be able to heal a lot, but the problem with that is his healing gets extremely stifled when he's just littered with all these health restoration debuffs. And I think a character that has a really good example of how they've thought of a way to overcome this is actually Tamagami number 3. Tamagami number 3, when he gets hit below 50% HP, heals, but at the same time, he's removing his attribute downgrades. So if he's affected by any health restoration debuffs when he gets hit below half HP, he's actually first removing the attribute downgrades so that the heal can apply in full. That's what this Zamasu should have done, I think. I think when the Zamasu gets hit, when the Zamasu gets hit enough to where the defensive end of his gauge is activated, he should have first removed those health restoration debuffs. He should have first removed those attribute downgrades applied to him, and then have the effects of the gauge activate so that he would actually be able to benefit from the heal, which would make it actually worth something. So I think that those two things together combined make this probably the most important point we're going to mention here in terms of why I think he's just a little bit underwhelming. No attribute downgrade, immunity / cancellation. I think if he had, again, even just from an offensive and defensive standpoint, being able to remove currently existing attribute downgrades when the gauge is activated from both ends really could have helped this character a lot. And it's possible that's really all he needs. The second point I have in this tier 1 of things that I think are really wrong with the character is him not having access to any kind of second life mechanic. And I even just want to remove endurance from the question, from the equation as well, because just having endurance alone probably wouldn't even be enough. I mean, you take a look at like every character that's come out that's had endurance. If you are a character that has endurance, you probably also have buff removal. We'll get to buff removal later. I think what they should have done is they should have just either have this character be had this character be a reviving character, and that's what I thought he was going to be when they first showed that this Zamasu was even releasing. Is I thought he was going to be a, you know, Legends Limited Fusion Zamasu who revived into Corrupted Fusion Zamasu, which would have made the most sense. Or they should have just given him Indestructible, I think. One of those two things. Number one, it would have protected him more from the Special Beam Cannon. Beast Gohan, theoretically, Beast Gohan shouldn't be able to just manhandle the Zamasu, but I mean, he does pretty easily. He utterly destroys Zamasu, type disadvantage, with the Special Beam Cannon or with his ultimate. Or Indestructible. Yeah, again, those two things would have saved him from the Special Beam Cannon, and then also it would have helped him not just get straight up ultimated by Beast Gohan or like any character. Any ultimate is like a big issue for this character. Obviously, unless you're talking about like a Majin Vegeta ult or something, but even Majin Vegeta can go type neutral. So yeah, I just, he's very not reliable defensively, and I think just him not having a second life mechanic there is the biggest contributing factor to that. Okay, so those are the two biggest things. Then we jump down a tier to like the mid-tier importance items. So I only have one in here. This one is going to be extremely limited access to cover null and double card draw speed. I think all of the points that we're going to be talking about from this point forward pretty much could be helped by him removing attribute downgrades. That's all going to come back to that. That's why it's the most important thing that I mentioned. You take a look at like most characters in the game, especially most premium characters, either whether they're ultras or LF characters. Basically every single character has access easily to cover null and double card draw speed. This guy has very limited access to it. We can just pull up his kit here so I can illustrate this. If we go down to the second unique ability, so the only way he actually gets double card draw speed is through activating the offensive gauge, and then the only way that he gets cover null is, there's actually two ways he gets cover null. He gets cover null through switching the type of his unique gauge from the defense style to the attack type, the sustained damage type to attack type. He gets cover null for 5 counts. And then the other way is when he fills up the offensive style unique gauge. So I found that this actually is a pretty big issue for him, because when you are, let's say, for example, you are comboing with him and you finish the combo early, or your combo gets stopped early because of him being not immune or not canceling attribute downgrades, a lot of times the combo ends very early for him. A lot of times you'll switch out to a different character, and then when you swap back into Zamasu later, he will of course still maintain the same offensive style unique gauge, but when you swap into him later, he's not going to have cover null until you fill it up. So no cover null on entry. I mean, cover null on entry is like essentially just a staple for every single major character now. So the fact that it doesn't have that just built in is a little unreliable. And then the same thing with double card draw speed. This character doesn't draw a card on entry. A lot of times that can be amended by having just having double card draw speed. A lot of times it allows you to, when you enter the battlefield with the character, they will just draw a card naturally because of the double card draw speed being there. This guy doesn't have double card draw speed. This guy doesn't have a card on entry. So I think those two things just make it a little bit tougher to use this character as like a filler character in the middle of a combo if you're going to be switching into him to extend a combo more. So that's the only point I had in the mid-tier importance items. For the lower tier items, again, these are sort of more nitpicks. There's 3 items in here. The first one is, it really seems like sometimes it takes too many hits for the defensive gauge to activate. I think it probably should just be 1 hit less to activate the defensive gauge. But again, this wouldn't be as big of an issue if he canceled his attribute downgrades, because then the heal would matter more. Right now, I mean, this guy gets touched once by Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and he might as well just be like, he might as well be a hero unit. Like, What is he? He's getting debuffed health restoration wise. He's not going to be healing. Like you can't. There's literally nothing you could do defensively against Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Beast Gohan kills him with the special beam cannon or his ultimate. I don't know. It feels like he either... Maybe he should have had something like this. Let me pull this guy up here. Where is this? It's whenever he gets hit. Yeah, here. The falling effects occur every time when hit with an enemy's arts attack while this character's in the battlefield. Restores in health by 10%. Even like he doesn't even need this. Literally just this. Just healing for the first time he gets hit would have been really big. I feel like this is almost more effective than Zamasu's entire defensive unique gauge. Like just going type neutral defensively, 10% HP, reducing ki. Like this is just the first time this guy gets hit. This is I almost feel like this is more valuable. Like you can easily get more value out of this than Zamasu's defensive unique gauge. It's just, I feel like it's just one card too long to fill up. But again, I think if they just made that attribute downgrade cancellation change I talked about, it would probably make up for the gauge taking one more hit. The second one is no buff removal. This sort of falls into, again, that second point I mentioned with no second life mechanic. If they would have given him like indestructible or a revival, then I wouldn't really care about this at all. But if he doesn't have either, he's got no second life and he doesn't have buff removal. It's kind of like a double whammy. They both really don't play well with each other. A character that doesn't have buff removal or any endurance or second life ability, I mean, you're really, because again, at least if he had just buff removal without a second life mechanic, you could sit in with him, and then if the opponent Beast Gohan, for example, goes for like an ultimate, you could then at least switch to a character that has endurance and you'd be okay. But you can't even, like, Beast Gohan goes for his ultimate, you swap into like Yellow Rose and he's just dead because you don't have any buff removal there. And then the third point is like probably the most minor one on here, but no arts cost down anywhere. Again, this will also play into the no attribute downgrade cancellation. But him starting out with just like full cost strikes and blasts is not a good start in terms of his ability to be able to chain combos together. So those are the I guess that is the laundry list of items that I've put together for why I think this character, at least to me, feels very, very underwhelming. Typically, whenever we get these major releases, LFs or Ultra characters, there's, you know, like one or two things I could point out for each character that's like, okay, well, this guy would have been a little bit more effective, would have been a little bit more valuable, would have been a little bit better if he had these abilities. It's usually not 7 things. It's usually not like 7 or 8 different items on this list. So this guy really, that's why I don't think he's even like close to being as good as he should have been, which is really unfortunate because do I want to get into the Legends Fest discussion here where this guy should have been the part 1 character for Legends Fest. He should have also been a Synchro Gauge character. And then what they do is they move Yellow Goku Black to this release spot. And then what they do is they just delete Goku Black from the game and they replace him with Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. That's what they should have done. They should have moved this Fusion Zamasu to part 1 of Legends Fest with Vegito Blue, had them both be Synchro Gauge characters. And then this release right now, the one that we're getting right now where Zamasu came out, should have been Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta from Daima. That's what they should have done. Anyway, those are the major concerns and I guess negative aspects of the character that I've experienced using him, that I've experienced playing against him. I mean, it's not only very apparent to me from using the character, but also fighting against the character. I've just been largely unimpressed. So we're going to go through some of these comments here and we'll see what people say. And again, obviously everybody's going to have different experiences with the unit. I'm not saying my opinion is fact. Either get with my opinion or, you know, go jump in a ditch. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But let's see what people say. All right, Ryuden, what do you got? I think the issue with this unit is the reliance on the offensive side has with the defensive side. Yeah, that's true because, again, the main aspect of the character getting cover null is when you switch styles of the gauge from defense to offense. Using cards to fill the gauge equals less cards to earn disrupt if you get caught in a combo, so that's a win. But if Zamasu is never caught, then his only method of filling the gauge is by attacking, something he has to do with level 1 card draw. Yeah, again, this is a good point as well. And I think I did actually mention this in my breakdown video. A lot of characters reduce card draw speed. Like, it's not just like, oh, this guy does it or this guy, like most characters I would say now defensively Well, is it most? I don't know if it's most, but it is a lot of characters that reduce card draw speed. And if you are a character that has level 1 card draw speed, you are going to have level 0 card draw speed, right? Because 1 minus 1 is 0. That's, I think, one of the reasons why they are so comfortable giving characters double card draw speed very easily these days, is because most characters reduce card draw speed. So at that point, they would only have level 1 card draw speed. With no abnormal condition, disrupt immunity. Yes, this is the biggest thing. This is the single biggest issue with the character. No cover null, so he can get caught so easily. Yeah, I talked about this also. That gap / vulnerability is what hurts him the most. You almost want to pop the main the second you realize you can't safely fill the gauge just to let him snowball again, because he can hurt when that happens. It's just fair. Yeah, remember, he fills the gauge up when his main ability is activated, I think, right? Yeah, charges unique gauge by 100%. So at least that's just how I felt so far. Yeah, I think these are valid concerns. I mean, a lot of these are kind of reiterations of what I've already mentioned, so I understand that. He's a bit odd when design-wise, when they made Future, they made Goku Black supposedly defense type. Vegito Blue, Mega Offense, Gohan Trunks, Revive unit. So what is Zamasu supposed to do? I don't think he's that bad, but he's a little confusing for what they were going for. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what they were going for with this character. I don't know, like, what is this character's role? I don't know. To me, he feels like an offensive, like a hyper offensive character. And it's weird because, again, I'll mention this for like the 4th time. His numbers, his damage is not bad, but he can't combo. And it almost feels like he's a worse version of Daimagoku, because Daimagoku is not a combo character. Daimagoku hits you like twice, locks you in, and kills you with a blue card. But Zamasu just doesn't do that. Zamasu just hits you with like 2 strikes, and that's the end of the combo a lot of times. So I'm not really sure what his role is, because even defensively, he just gets stomped a lot of the time for me. I think the biggest issue is lack of buff. Yeah, lack of buff wiping and not having any second life. Yeah, we essentially agree on everything. He's supposed to be immortal, so not having a comeback or revive seems odd. He should have the Beast Gohan at less than 50%. He heals and reduces enemy ki, and he doesn't tank the best. Part 2. Okay, let's open this. He relies heavily on his gauge being full and taking that extra hit in defense mode, which once it procs is great. Yeah, it is strong when it activates, but the healing part is what I have an issue with. The healing part a lot of times just gets completely ignored because of the debuffs. And Seal Rush with card destruction, but you just swap to a unit that gets key and cards on entry, and you're stuck again hoping to survive for the gauge. Yeah, it's very similar to Goku Black's gauge. Overall, I think he's okay. He isn't terrible, but he's nothing special. I found him to be the best successful with getting his gauge full and either swapping out and saving the gauge proc for when you need it the most. Yeah, that's true. I actually would agree with that, but you needing to do that is not good. That's not a good look for the character, right? You having to swap out of him because you need to save the gauge for a later portion of the fight. That is not a good reflection of his ability to be effective. His green card is honestly his best feature. Everything that Dr. Mald is saying here, I actually think is true. I would agree with almost everything he's saying here. I think his green card actually is very good. I think his blue card actually is very good. So I'm not saying every aspect of the character is bad. I just don't think he's an effective character when you consider everything that he's trying to do. Yeah, the Vanish Restoration is very good as well. I feel like Zamasu overall is just a genuinely undertuned. I don't know how you're expected to go 5 rounds with King K rule with no checkpoints the way he's designed. Yeah, that actually kind of the legendary Donkey Kong 64 reference. Okay, let's open this. I think Jack of all trades, master of none is very accurate for this unit. Yeah, it kind of seems, yeah, I would agree with that. Good offense despite no neutral. The defensive gate, yeah, I actually didn't even put this in my list. I don't know if I want to put that. I guess that could be a nitpick. No offensive neutral. That would probably go in like the lower importance items, because I just like, I don't think that's really a huge issue right now. It would be nice if he had it, but it's not like a necessity for the character to perform well. The defensive gauge can clutch out certain situations and full vanish on green card instrument. Yes, but they poked many holes in his kit and expect units like Tag, Future Gohan, and Trunks or the Goku Blacks to fill them. Yeah, I think Tag, Future Gohan, and Trunks, like, you just take a look at how they're designed. This is a really, really well-designed character. And also for Zamasu as well, I actually am a really big fan. Not this guy, let's get rid of him. I actually am a really big fan of how they designed the unique gauge. I think the unique gauge being able to switch back and forth between offensive and defensive functionality. Oops. Oh my god, everything just... okay, we're back. Everything just got minimized for some reason. I think the... I lost my train of thought now. I think the ability that the unique age has to swap between offensive and defensive functionality, depending on the current situation of the fight, that is a very interesting ability. And that is an ability that is unique to this Zamasu. Like this unique age actually is unique to this character, and that's cool. I do like that. It's something different, and it's something that gives this character identity. I just think it needs to be changed in terms of how potent the effects are on it. Okay, let's see anything else. But they poked many holes in the kid, but he's like, "Go on, trying to good." Yeah, so okay, we read that. I do not think he's as bad as you make him out to be. For me, I think he fills an almost identical role to Super Baby 2. I do like how his gauge works. Hold on, looks like he has another one. I do like how his gauge works, being able to fill it offensively, defensively, switch out, and having a choice next time he comes in. This is a character that I think they want you to switch out consistently. I do think he could have been better, obviously, but I do not think he's a bad release. The problem with comparing him to Super Baby 2 is when Super Baby 2 dropped, we didn't have a debuff meta. We are in a very heavy debuff meta, and the biggest thing that this character is susceptible to are debuffs. So I don't know if I really would make the comparison here. Also, Baby's design is just more fluid. The fact that he draws a blue card, the fact that he's removing Vanish when his gauge fills up, everything is set up to work extremely well for him. Even when he dropped in a meta where Super 17 was like the biggest counter to him ever, and he was like he was like a top 3 unit in the game or something, right? That Super 17 was. It was like Super 17, Ultra, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and who else? It was like UI Goku or something were like the 3 best characters. And Super Baby 2 was still pretty good. So I don't know if I would, if I'd really compare him to Super Baby 2, because things were certainly different when he came out. A character that they want you to switch out consistently, but that doesn't, how does that like work with his kit? Like I understand what you're saying with saving the gauge and then using it later for cover and all, but why would I value something like that when I could simply use a character that just gets cover and all for free on entry? Why would I want to jump through that extra hoop when nearly every other premium release character just has it for free? It just doesn't really make sense design-wise. Overall, a good unit that does his job as a melee, can do really high damage even with the card cost. I wouldn't disagree with this, because he does do good damage with each card that he uses. But like how much total damage is he really doing? Snipe with his blue, and the blue is strong and can catch opponents off guard with the full Vanish Frustration on greens. His biggest downside is defense, doesn't have buff cancel, which is why you need to run him with someone like Beast or Tamagami 3 that don't share a team with him to not remove truckload amounts of damage early on. His Disrupt is good and helps slow down opponents' combos, but not stop them completely, which is fine. His main role isn't to be a tank, but to deal damage without overdoing it like UMV that can just kill any unit regardless of color. I would much rather get these types of releases of the units that get level 2 card draw speed on entry with infinite combos and counters that damage the opponents. But okay, so this, now we're getting into the argument where it's like, oh, he's not broken, but you know, he's not bad. Like that's the argument we're getting into here. I don't know if I buy that argument, right? We can't say, oh, he's not as good as every other premium release, but he's not bad. Like, what is your definition of bad if that's not bad, you know? I really don't understand the negativity towards this unit. I didn't like his kit when we first got details, but he feels so much better to use in game. Range blue with paralysis. Yes, I think the blue and green card are good. Green card generation with Vanish Restore on it and good type for current meta. Good teams too. You know what? This even you could even view the fact that he's red and still feels this underwhelming to be kind of concerning too, because we have very limited good blue characters, and yellow and green are the 2 best typings right now. Yeah, dude, there's the color yellow in this game is insane right now. It's ridiculous. Good teams too. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with him having like, I don't know if I would say like the best team, but his teams are pretty good. Yeah. I think he's low-key solid. The best thing about him is probably his super accessible teams and obviously, yeah, I think his animations look really good for sure. All right, let's see what this is. Zamasu feels like he's built to be a powerhouse, but his kit leaves him too exposed. A huge issue is his reliance on the defensive gauge for survivability, and it's hard to fill it without being at risk only for a mediocre disrupt at best. On the offensive side, he suffers from lack of card draw speed, obviously no cover null on entry, and is susceptible to the abnormal conditions almost every unit employs nowadays. Yes, this is the biggest thing. Also, no second life, which I feel like he should have gotten in the form of endurance. Also, yeah, endurance, obviously, it would have been better than not having endurance at all, but if he got endurance, I think he also should have had buff removal. If he got a revive if he got a revive or indestructible, he wouldn't need buff removal. But if he got endurance or just no second life mechanic at all, I feel like he should have had buff removal. Also, his ult should be dealing supreme damage or at least more AoE. Obviously, he has some plus sides like his green card restoring Vanish 3 times and deleting a Dragon Ball on the other gauge, and his surplus of team options, but I really like they held back on him. It's kind of sad to think a unit needs to get all these abilities and nuances to be great in this meta, but it is what it is. Yes, but that's the point, right? We can't look at the best units in the game and then we can't take this Zamasu, say, okay, he's worse than like these characters that are controlling the entire game, but he's not bad. Like, what? You know what? I'm pulling up Merriam-Webster. Good thing I have this bookmarked. What is the definition of the word bad? All right, so failing to reach an acceptable standard. Okay, I guess we should look up the definition of the word standard. All right, this is not the definition we want. Here we go. Something established by authority, custom, or general consent as a model or example. So I guess in this context, authority is the Dragon Ball Legends development team. So something established by the Dragon Ball Legends development team as a model or example. Would that, for example, be what this character's doing? Would that, for example, be what this character's doing? Would that, for example, be what this character is doing? How about 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 what this character is doing? Do you kind of follow what I'm getting at here? They've set an example with this character, 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 with this guy, with this guy. So the establishment of those characters as a model or example would then in turn mean that the standard is not being met by the Zamasu. So by definition, wouldn't he be bad? I'm just saying. Okay, let's move on. Merge Zamasu feels like how this character came out strong but had glaring weaknesses. I like the concept of Merge Zamasu a lot, and I wish I could have him at higher stars, but the top tier characters above him stand out so much that they make Merge Zamasu look subpar since he's not doing everything himself. This is exactly how I feel as well. Again, we'll go. Dude, this should be the thumbnail of this video. Just this. Like this. Just this. Take a screenshot of this definition and just put this as the thumbnail or something. I don't know. Like, him not being as good as the best characters in the game, what does that make him? Right? It's clear that units have become overtuned to a ridiculous degree. At some point, they were going to have to do something to reset that, which includes releasing units that seem subpar in comparison. Zamasu and Gohan Trunks are good units while not being broken. If they keep up the style of unit release, then we can get back to a better game. Yeah, but if we just get characters like this over and over again, then what's going to happen with characters like this? Is this guy just going to be the best unit in the game forever? Is this guy going to be the best unit in the game forever? Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to change the format of the game? Like, I don't know. There's going to be something that needs to change, right? Yep. Like, they can keep dropping Merge Zamasus. Like, they could drop, I don't know, let's pick a random character. They could drop like what if they dropped an Ultra Cell who was like just as good as this character? Like, what does that do for the game? He just dies to Beast. He just dies to Majin Vegeta. He just dies to Gotenks. He dies to Daima Goku. Dies to Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Okay, next release. Oh, it's an Ultra Super Buu? Who's as good as this character? Oh, he just dies to Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Oh, he just dies to Daima Goku. Like, there's gonna need to be evolution somewhere. He doesn't have endurance, comeback, revive, or indestructible, so him defensively feels extremely lacking. Yeah, it's that, but it's that plus him not having buff removal. He doesn't have immunity to cost increase and no type neutrality, so offensively he just isn't up to par. Compared to Daima and Gotenks, I don't know what they were thinking with this kit. Yeah, again, when did Gotenks dropped in October? So November, December, we're about to be 4 months since Gotenks dropped. This is a mistake. Look at this. This is still the best thing about the character 4 months later. Like, almost no one else has this. This guy does. Right? Transformed. 100 counts after transforming. Look at this. Like, why does he have that? This is just them being lazy, honestly. More than anything else, I think. It's them just being like, yeah, we don't know how to work around this. So just give him immunity to it, right? That's essentially what they say. Watching it from your showcases, I feel like the same way too. He should have had more in his kit, like arts cost down, immune to key, card destruction, and card on entry. I also feel like his unique gauge should be the same way, like Super 17 and Ultra Vegito Blue, not the charge rate, it's the deplete part. Yeah, I'm also not saying like, so I mentioned all those points in the beginning of the video. I'm not saying he needs all of those things. I'm just saying those are the issues with the character, and it would be up to the development team to figure out what are the important things and what makes the character good enough. But those are the things they really should have been looking at when they designed this character. Feels like they're trying to soft reset making it so overly powered, but they have gone so far where it's hard to do it right. Yeah, I understand the like this thought process. But if we just continue releasing characters that are not strong enough, then the current strongest characters are just going to continue being the strongest characters forever. Right? So I don't know. The food pictures? Yeah, don't worry, I'll keep posting those. I don't have anything to say since I haven't pulled them yet, but here's a picture of Shugesh. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Path to Power Yamcha. Going to be honest, first time disagreeing with you with something in this game. Sure, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Character-wise, I understood transforming Broly and transforming Goku Black, but Merge Zamasu, I don't see the problem. People, including you before Festival, said the meta lasted a timer and it felt slow and inactive every match. And during Festival, people complained about long combos and overall no diversity in characters. Just baseline double card draw speed and easy cover null and endurance. Well, finally, we get a character who first has 2 unique gauges, earns cover null and I guess card draw speed. Speaking from a God rank POV, Zamasu 5 stars tanked well against well-built 14-star Beast Gohans or transforming Vegetos or Daima Gokus. I don't know about that. I mean, I got a 14-star fully arts boosted Zenkai buff Zamasu, get like two shot by Daima Goku, but okay. Even surrounded special beam cannons. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see that being the case. Surrounding special beam cannons. Yeah, sure. Draw speed and tanks decently well, and his unique gauge is definitely better than Goku Black's. On top of that, he's not toxic. It, in theory, is better than Goku Black's, but Goku Black's fills up faster. But yeah, resending itself, I think, does make it better than Goku Black's for sure. But overall, a well-thought-out, balanced character. Please, let's not make the baseline transforming Vegito or Ultra Majin Vegeta. More characters like this deserve to be in the game. I do like the fact that he has a unique ability where his gauge switches typings depending on the situation. He doesn't have modern mechanics that allow him to keep up with the best characters. I don't think he's awful. There's some to be desired about him. The lack of a second life is bothering for the self-proclaimed immortal god. Yeah, it's also like not thematic for him not to have a second life. His damage is really good. Like you said, a glass cannon. I think for him having a defensive gauge, he should tank a bit better. So Plaque could help with that. I enjoy his disrupt for the most part. There are times where it's just non-existent. But overall, it's decent. Would like to see improvements to that. He's on really good teams that can really juice him up. But overall, he does need more. Main issues are, again, his disrupt isn't super strong. It's okay. He has a good combo game. Does he? Good combo. I mean, again, I have found it particularly tough to combo with him just because of the debuffs. But it's hindered by the fact deal with it. Yeah, exactly. The cost up. In theory, he would have pretty good combo potential, but it's just he can't realize the potential, right? He can't realize it because he just gets hindered by the debuffs. He was doomed when we saw he had no way to deal with those in the meta. Yeah, I actually do agree with that. Yeah. Setups I use for him on equips may have changed. Currently 15 has God ranks. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, his teams are good. He's mainly using him on like God Key in future here. Team setups are not the issue, I don't think, for this character. So from what I've seen, he's an okay-ish character. I think he's a step in the right direction for this year. He's nice and balanced, not a character that gets everything for free and does it all. He fulfills his roles decently well. Could probably use more tanking and healing, but I like how he isn't a combo forever character. He feels new and different, so I think all in all he's okay. He could be better, but he isn't horrible. He's usable and could do good. Like I said, he feels a step in the right direction, and hope Legends keeps up with it. But in like what way? Like he doesn't really elaborate on this. Okay, let's see. Well, I really like his direction design-wise. I think the best way I can describe him is he feels hollow. He feels like besides the gauge, he doesn't really fulfill a role in the team exactly well. He wants to be both offensive and defensive while not doing either too well. He lacks multiple modern mechanics, such as healing on enemy blue card ultimate. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I didn't even really think about that. He doesn't do that, yeah. I think it's probably because they were just assuming the gauge would handle that, right? No second life mechanics, but Go Trunks got it for whatever reason. I would switch places if I would choose which gets a second life mechanic. Yeah, maybe. No card draw on entry, massive key issues due to no cost reduction. Defensively, I would argue he actually suffers a bit. He feels like he doesn't have enough bulk to make up for the lack of a second life. Yes. And his healing is just very inconsistent due to debuffs. Yep. Which can make him feel useless at times, a hindrance in the team. He doesn't disrupt enough outside his gauge, which sometimes can be ignored by switching to another character that force draws. Yeah, it's the same thing with Goku Black. He just lacks a lot of things. I think he's fun and the concept is cool, but needs help drastically. Yeah, unfortunately, I do agree. I think this release is fine if they're planning on soft resetting the meta by releasing units at this level throughout the year, but that doesn't help, right? Again, can you imagine if they just dropped characters like this level throughout the whole year? Could you imagine if we just got like a 2021 part 2? Where Beast Gohan just dominated the entire year because they just didn't drop better characters than this. Like, I understand the concept that people are making, or the idea that people are presenting when they say something like this, where, okay, the team realized they made a mistake with the design of characters, so now let's not release characters that have all these mechanics, and that will save the game. The problem with that is we already have characters that do everything. So how do releasing new characters that don't do everything save the game from characters that already exist that do everything? Like, how do we get from point A to point B? I don't know, because that doesn't sound to me like it would solve the problem. But I understand. I accidentally moved that. I understand the concept, though. In terms of the current meta, though, it's laughable that Corrupted Merge Zamasu is a better pick than this guy. Actually, yeah, I think you can make the argument for this. I really like his green card and how it restores Vanish, makes for fun gameplay. Yeah, I think this one of the stronger things about this character, like I mentioned already, these two things are really strong. The green and the blue. Both these are... We really don't get too often characters that have range blues anymore. This one is really good. Obviously, this is a little toxic, but the effects on this are crazy for being a range blue card. And the green is very good too. I also think his gauge is pretty strong, but it should reset as soon as it is filled. Yes, that's exactly what I was saying with it needing to take one card less. It needing an additional card to be reset feels odd, especially on the defensive side. I think the offensive side probably... If they made the offensive gauge take one less card to fill up, I actually think it might be too good. That is like a very slippery slope. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we saw what happened to Blue Kaioken Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta. That type of unique gauge where you fill it up and then it like feeds into itself by giving you a full hand of cards to fill it up again, that can become very toxic. Also no endurance, yeah. Okay, I think we'll do a few more. I think I'm seeing, you know, similar sentiments from a lot of players here. The gauge on both ends should have been reset when it becomes full. One less card on defensive/offense, and he needs card protection and or key protection because in this day and age with only 5 counts of level 2 card draw, you can't hope to combo without them. Also card on entry. Honestly, appreciate the design direction, the number of teams that just combo for... Oh, does this guy have multiple? Let me just make sure I pull up everything. Nope, okay. The number of teams that just combo forever is ridiculous. Just a few months ago, the problem with Legends of Forever combo potential should illustrate that. I feel like this is a better option than the Gogeta/Majin Vegeta gauge. In theory, yes, but we already have this in the game, so it already exists. Strength, vanish on green card, flaws, no card on entry. His gauge takes way too long to fill up. It'd be perfect if it took 3 hits like Rose. He's talking about defensive gauge, which I agree with. No key protection, no easy cover null or cover change and nullification, no endurance, unbreakable. Not even 1 day has passed and he's going in the box. Damn. I feel like it's less him being underwhelming and more the amount of buffs Yellow has gotten. I feel like it's less him being underwhelming and more the amount of buffs Yellow has. But wouldn't that make him better? If Yellow is the best color, I think green and yellow are like neck and neck with being the 2 best right now. If yellow is the best color, wouldn't that make this guy as a red character more valuable? Majin Vegeta needs a Majin Vegeta to take him out of the meta, and Zamasu just doesn't do that. I mean, this is true, but if this character really was what he should have been on release, things should have balanced out a little bit more, I think. I think he is severely overhated due to him being star dependent. I mean, that would be true if I didn't have him 14 stars fully arts boosted, Zenkai buffed, like full godly equips, right? My only issue with him is his green not giving him cover null. You can go from low HP to full HP in 2 greens. He gets 10 counts of defensive neutral. Damage is good. Defensive gauge is really good. Defensive gauge is good for disrupt sometimes, but the debuff, the no debuff immunity means that he just gets like no healing a lot of the time because of the healing debuffs. Underwhelming and a little disappointed that we didn't get a tag LF Zamasu and Rose. Still good animations and all. Yeah, the animation's really good. Not sure why people are defending him. It doesn't even matter if he's decent. Majin Vegeta's been running the game unchecked since October. I mean, I don't know if I want to say unchecked because like he's not like undisputed best character in the game anymore. The last thing we need is a passable red. He's simply not good enough. He should have been better with tools to put Majin Vegeta in his place. I feel like they could have given him anti-Vegeta clan stuff. This version of the character, right? The non-corrupted version of Fusion Zamasu. Okay, hold on. Let me actually pull this up. Where is future? This character, the father-son Gallic gun. When this happened in the show, when Trunks and Vegeta did the father-son Gallic gun, this Zamasu he just tanked it for 0 damage. He literally just took 0 damage from it. So I think they probably could have used that as leverage to give him like something extra against Vegeta clan. It feels weird saying like this guy should have had anti-Vegeta clan because Vegeta clan has been neglected for such a long time in this game. Now it's actually really good, but I feel like he probably should have gotten something against Vegeta clan. I mean, it makes sense thematically, so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe what if he had debuff immunity if the opponent used a Vegeta clan character or something? I don't know. I don't think that should. I don't think this. I think this shouldn't exist in the game. Not this. This shouldn't exist in the game. This shouldn't exist in the game. I just don't think this should be a thing that exists. Just get rid of this. It's too oppressive. You should see the community quotes on this tweet. I'll pass. I'll pass. I think Zamasu is a character that gets better as you get higher ranks and stars. Just being a counter to the 99 combos that all top 1000 standard mode players can do is value enough. He's not. How is he? What? Unlike Rose, he also has easier way to increase disrupts by healing 30% on green. Yes, this is strong. This also just isn't the case. Like, we're not in a meta anymore where everyone is just doing 99 combos. That's not... I mean, it can happen. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's not like we're in part 1 of Legends Fest anymore where it was like a given that was going to happen. I think Legends is trying to step into the right direction with him. He's good, but he needs work to be good, unlike past releases where you just have to get them and then you're good because the unit plays for you. But then why would I use him? Right? I mean, if this guy's good 50% of the time, or 60% of the time, or 70% of the time, why would I use him over a character that's good 100% of the time? Or 99% of the time? Or 95% of the time? Or 90% of the time, right? I really like him. Maybe it's just because I'm in the lower ranks, but he feels like such a middle finger to Masha Vegeta. Yeah, he does. Again, like his strikes do a lot of damage. It's funny when Vegeta hits the unique gauge, but then he gets paralyzed. Yeah, that's paralysis. Again, if you have fun using the character, obviously that's like, I can't take anything away from you, right? Obviously. I fought a 5-star Zamasu when he died with defensive gauge against my 6-star Daimaku in a 5-card combo. Yeah, no blue. They got lost in the sauce thinking how cool both the defensive unit and offensive unit could be. They forgot to make him good, or they just hate villain feature units. Yeah, I mean, man. If I was like a Goku Black and or Zamasu mega fan, I'd be pretty annoyed. All right, I think we're probably going to leave it there. Everyone's pretty much giving the same answers at this point, or we've seen most of the responses from people now. So you guys could let me know down below what you think of Legends Limited Fusion Zamasu. He's now been out for a few days. Interested to see what you guys have to say as well in the YouTube comments. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.